Imitate their faith. I have believed. Martha could see it in her mind's eye, her brother's tomb, a cave sealed with a stone against the entrance. Her grief was a burden as cold and heavy as that rock. She could barely believe that her beloved Lazarus was gone. The 4 days since he had taken his last breath seemed like one long blur of mourning, visitors, and condolences. And now, standing before Martha was the man who had meant the most to Lazarus. Seeing Jesus again brought her grief into sharp focus, for he was the one man in all the world who could have saved her brother. Still, Martha found some comfort in being with Jesus here outside the little hillside town of Bethany. In her few moments with him, she again felt warmed by the kindness in his eyes, the keen empathy that was always so encouraging. He asked her questions that helped her to focus on her faith and on her beliefs about the resurrection. The conversation led Martha to make one of the most important statements that would ever pass her lips. I have believed that you are the Christ, the Son of God, the one coming into the world. John 11:27. Martha was a woman of remarkable faith. What little the Bible tells us of her imparts profound lessons that can help us strengthen our own faith. To see how that is so, let us consider the first account about Martha in the Bible. Anxious and disturbed. It was months earlier. Lazarus was alive and well. His home in Bethany was about to receive the most important of visitors, Jesus Christ. Lazarus, Martha, and Mary were an unusual family, 3 grown siblings who evidently shared a home. Some researchers suggest that Martha may have been the oldest of the 3, since she seems to have acted as hostess and is mentioned first at times. There is no way of knowing whether any of the 3 were ever married. At any rate, they became close friends of Jesus. During his ministry in Judea, where he met so much opposition and hostility, Jesus made their home his base. No doubt he greatly appreciated that haven of peace and support. Martha had much to do with the comfort and hospitality of the home. A busy, industrious soul, she seems often to have been in a flurry of activity. The occasion of Jesus' visit was no exception. She soon planned a special meal with many dishes for her distinguished guest and, perhaps, some of his traveling companions. Back then, hospitality was very important. When a guest arrived, he was welcomed with a kiss. His sandals were removed, his feet were washed, and his head was greased with refreshing perfumed oil. As to his accommodations and nourishment, every care was to be taken. Martha and Mary had their work cut out for them. Mary, who is sometimes thought of as the more sensitive and contemplative of the 2, surely helped her sister out at first. But after Jesus arrived, things changed. He viewed the occasion as a time to teach, and teach he did. Unlike the religious leaders of the day, Jesus respected women and readily taught them about God's kingdom, the theme of his ministry. Mary, thrilled at this opportunity, sat at his feet and took in every word. We can just imagine the tension rising within Martha's heart. With all the dishes she had to prepare and all the duties she had to carry out for her guests, she became more and more anxious and distracted. As she passed to and fro on her busy way and saw her sister sitting there doing nothing to help her, did she color slightly, sigh audibly, or frown? It would not be surprising if she did. She could not do all this work on her own. Finally, Martha could no longer suppress her frustration. She interrupted Jesus, blurting out, "Lord, does it not matter to you that my sister has left me alone to attend to things? Tell her, therefore, to join in helping me." Luke 10:40. These were strong words. A number of translations render her question to this effect, "Lord, do you not care?" Then she asked Jesus to correct Mary, to order her back to work. Jesus' reply may have surprised Martha, as it has many Bible readers since. He gently said, "Martha, Martha, you are anxious and disturbed about many things. A few things, though, are needed, or just one. For her part, Mary chose the good portion, and it will not be taken away from her." Luke 10:41 and 42. what did Jesus mean? Was he calling Martha a materialist? Was he dismissing her hard work in preparing a fine meal? No, Jesus clearly saw that Martha's motives were loving and pure. Further, he did not feel that even bounteous hospitality was necessarily wrong. He had willingly attended Matthew's big reception feast for him some time earlier. Luke 5:29. Martha's meal was not the key issue here. Rather, it was her priorities. So focused was she on her elaborate meal that she lost sight of what mattered most. What was that? Jesus, the only begotten Son of Jehovah God, was in Martha's home to teach the truth. Nothing, including her lovely meal and preparations, could be more important. Jesus was no doubt saddened that Martha was missing out on a unique opportunity to deepen her faith, but he let her make her own choice. It was quite another thing, though, for Martha to ask Jesus to coerce Mary to miss out as well. So he gently corrected Martha, repeating her name soothingly to calm her agitated nerves. And he assured her that there was no need to be anxious and disturbed about many things. A simple meal of 1 or 2 dishes would be sufficient, especially when a spiritual feast was available. By no means, then, would he take away from Mary the good portion she had chosen, that of learning from Jesus. This little domestic scene is rich in lessons for Christ followers today. We must never allow anything to crowd out the filling of our spiritual need. While we want to imitate Martha's generous, industrious spirit, we never want to become so anxious and disturbed about the less essential part of hospitality that we miss out on what matters most. We associate with fellow believers, not primarily for the sake of serving or receiving sumptuous food, but for an interchange of encouragement and the imparting of spiritual gifts. Even the simplest meal may make such an upbuilding occasion possible. A beloved brother lost and restored. Did Martha accept Jesus' gentle reproof and learn from it? We need not wonder. The Apostle John, in introducing a thrilling account about Martha's brother, reminds us, "Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus." John 11:5. Months had passed since Jesus' visit to Bethany described previously. Clearly, Martha had not indulged in sulking. She was not nursing a grudge against Jesus for his loving counsel. She had taken it to heart. In this matter, too, she set an excellent example of faith for us. For who of us does not need a little correction at times? When her brother took ill, Martha busied herself with his care. She did everything in her power to soothe his discomfort and help him get better. Nonetheless, Lazarus sank still deeper into his illness. Hour after hour, day after day, his sisters stayed by his side to care for him. How often did Martha gaze into her brother's haggard face, remembering their many years together and the joys and sorrows they had shared. When it looked as if Lazarus was beyond their help, Martha and Mary sent a message to Jesus. He was preaching some 2 days' journey away. Their message was simple: "Lord, see, the one for whom you have affection is sick." John 11:1 and 3. They knew that Jesus loved their brother, and they had faith that he would do whatever he could to help his friend. Did they cling to the hope that Jesus might arrive before it was too late? If so, their hopes were dashed. Lazarus died. Together, Martha and Mary mourned their brother, taking care of the preparations for his burial and receiving the many guests from Bethany and its environs. Still no news of Jesus.